So, I mentioned about the topic that is trending now in our society. So we're going to discuss about gender and race inequalities in the Philippines. And later on, we're going to discuss the implications of this topic towards our students. Okay, so stay tuned and please like and subscribe in my channel. Let's start. So we're going to focus our vlog for today in the Philippines, ang ating sariling bayan. Philippines is a country in the Southeast Asia where there is a rich cultural heritage and a complex history of gender and race inequalities that is deeply rooted in its history regarding our colonial past and the socio-economic status that is in the country. So these inequalities manifest in various forms and affect different sectors of the society, including education. Now this is going to be a lengthy topic. I hope you stay in our vlog for tonight, okay, and stay tuned. Okay, so we're going to discuss first about the historical context of the topic. So we all know that our country, the Philippines, was marked with Spanish and American and later on the Japanese occupation, which influenced the country's socio-economic and cultural history. First one, the Spanish colonization, right? So it's around 1521 until 1898. This is a period of time wherein marginalized women and indigenous people has been introduced to the patriarchal system. So what is the effect of it? That men or the patriarchs in the society or the family perhaps has more power or perhaps rights compared to women at that time. And it goes on towards the American period around 1898 until the end of World War II. Okay, it's 1946, which brought about some social reforms, but still racial hierarchies is still existing, right? So later on, the Japanese also during their occupation has exacerbated a lot of inequalities towards women and perhaps children as well. So let's focus on the first subtopic, gender inequality. Okay, so despite the progress of gender equality here in the Philippines, Filipino women continue to face significant challenges. Like, for example, the labor markets reflects persistent gender disparities, like how they provide more opportunities towards men compared to the women, right? So there are lucky some women who are able to land jobs in companies but being offered with low paying jobs and also sometimes exposed to abuses. Okay, now the cultural norms and tradition of gender roles also contribute to the women's limited access to economic opportunities. There is one of the, or that is one of the reason why women are experiencing inequality towards the society. So how can this be an impact? First is in education. Education is a critical area where gender equality persists or inequality persists. While there have been significant studies or progress in closing this gap, right? Still, the quality of education and the disparities still remains. The exposure or evident gap between the rights and inequality between women. So another thing is that we experience as Filipinos now that we call the race inequality. So many of our indigenous people in the Philippines, which we have a lot, they are also known as the Lumad in Mindanao, the Igorot in the Cordillera region in Luzon. No, these are people, so what we consider the indigenous people or the IPs. These communities have historically faced marginalization and discrimination. So when we say the marginalized sector of our society, there are the people who are being the minority and the less focused society or group of people in our society. Right? So indigenous people often live in remote areas where there are limited access to basic services such as education, health services, and perhaps livelihood services. So many of them are considered the minorities, and because of this, the implications of the inequalities experienced by our indigenous people, they have this access to education. This is the one of the major inequalities they have experienced. So first, the access to education. Gender and race inequalities significantly impact the success of students, especially when they are going to access education. So girls from indigenous and ethnic minority group face a lot of barriers wherein they encounter problems, poverty, cultural biases, and geographic isolation. So because of the area where they are living, it's like very far from where they reside, and because of that, it causes them to be not able to come to school, thus having the depravity of education. Now, one of the important key aspects of this blog is how important quality education is necessary, not only to certain group of people, but to all Filipino that lives in the Philippines. The quality of education received by students is also affected by gender and race inequalities. So other schools, like perhaps prioritize certain gender and or race in order to be admitted to their school, and because of the lack of adequate facilities, resources, these are some of the factors affecting the quality of education. Another one is the psychosocial impact. The psychosocial impact of gender and race inequalities on students is vast and profound. Discrimination and marginalization can lead to low self-esteem. Maliit ang tingin sa kanilang sarili. Lack of motivation. They are not excited to come to school. They are not eager to learn something in the school, thus affecting their desire to come to school every day during class or weekdays. Okay, so because of that, it also affects their mental issues, or it could lead to mental health issues. Now, female students in particular may face additional pressure related to gender-based violence, and perhaps sexual harassment, which they can experience in different society, in the different part of the society. It may be in the home, in school, in the community, right? Thus, certain policies should be culminated or perhaps crafted to protect these people from abuses and violence. Right? So what can we do? What are the things that we can do as a student in order for us to level up this gender and race inequalities? So first is the making or crafting of policies and intervention. So efforts to address gender and race inequality in the Philippine education system require comprehensive and exclusive policies. They should be included when they are going to craft laws that would benefit not only a certain group of people but for holistic for everyone. So the government, in partnership with non-government agency and organization and international agencies, may implement various programs aimed at promoting gender equality. Thus making more opportunities, especially to the women who are being exposed to gender-based violence and harassment. So I will not make this vlog very long. Actually, this is like my insights, my take regarding gender and race inequalities, especially for us Filipinos. We have experienced a lot of racial prejudices, both here in our country and outside our country. So, in general, for me, in conclusion, gender and race inequalities in the Philippines have deep historical roots and should continue after various aspects of society, including education. So, for students out there watching this vlog, so these inequalities present certain and significant barriers. So this may include the access to quality and overall well-being of the student or the person. So addressing these issues requires multifaceted approaches that includes policy reforms. I know that our government are creating policies that would combat gender and race inequalities. Also, community engagement. We as members of the society should be also engaged in leveling up or perhaps eradicating those inequalities between gender and race. Also, our continuous effort to challenge and change our discriminatory practices and attitudes. We have a lot of what we call this biases towards gender. So those things should be removed, changed, and perhaps we have to do a self-examination. Self-examination if we are also guilty in these issues, right? So by fostering an inclusive and equitable education system, the Philippines can empower our students, new students, also our educators, our stakeholders, and even regardless of our gender or our race preferences, we can achieve a full potential and perhaps contribute to the nation's development. I will not make this vlog too long because it's already very long, and I hope you have learned something from this. So again, what should we do? What are the things that we should exert effort in? Is to help accept and perhaps create a more tolerant attitude towards gender and race, so that we would be living in a country, in our community, in a harmonious and safe places. So I think that's all for this vlog. I hope you would like and subscribe. So thank you and good day.